The Super Mario Bros. Movie was one of my most highly anticipated things of 2022, that is until it got delayed to this year, then I just got depressed. I still remember when this movie was first confirmed to be in development, I kind of assumed that it would just go quiet for a year before unceremoniously being shelved behind the scenes, and then Miyamoto would later make some comment that they just couldn't make it work. Fast forward to the middle of last year, where he gets on a Nintendo Direct looking happier than a Goomba covered in peanut butter and starts listing off the key cast members. Chris Pratt is Mario, Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong, Jack Black is Bowser, Steve Buscemi is Birdo. In the last few years, we have seen numerous lucrative video game adaptations: Sonic 1 and 2, Detective Pikachu, Uncharted, Halo, Last of Us, Cyberpunk, League of Legends, Castlevania, Borderlands movie is coming out this year, maybe, Metal Gear Solid movie might not get cancelled, and we got a Five Nights at Freddy's movie coming out this Halloween. Not every one of these is or necessarily will be a winner, but they have so far proven a genuine commercial interest in video game movies, and many of these have shown that you can actually do the games justice as long as you actually try. Miyamoto was directly involved in the making of this film from the get-go, so there was a firm and understanding guiding hand. You know damn well this dude cares about Mario. He built Donkey Kong in a cave with a box of scraps. Compare this to the Halo TV show where the showrunners straight up said, "We didn't look at the games." Typically, when you're trying to adapt a video game series to another medium, you should probably look at the video game. Video game adaptations have always had varying degrees of quality and success, but on average, they've definitely gotten noticeably better in the last half-decade at least. So there is no doubt in my mind that we're going to be seeing a lot more of those in the coming years. YouTube Donkey's famous quote is, "In video games, the person who sets the bar for everyone is Mario." In the case of video game movies, he set the bar very, very low. But with this new movie, the big man finally got a chance to reset the bar, and if you want my opinion, goddamn. If this is what we can expect from video game movies going forward, well, that's a wonderful Wahoo! This is kind of an unstructured review analysis thingy. I have a lot to say about this movie because I've been waiting such a long time for it. So yeah, there are gonna be some vague-ish spoilers in this video. So if you're wanting to see it and still haven't, I still recommend finding the time to see it beforehand. I don't think this is the type of movie that will be ruined by spoilers, but if you feel differently, fair warning. Alright? Are we good? Good. Let's go! Let's talk adaptations. Since the narrative in Mario games tends to be fairly pragmatic and basic, I think there are generally two approaches to writing a story that can work well within the context of a movie. A. You embrace the simplicity and ham it up with all the carefree fun and comical whimsy of the video games, or B. You try to fill in all the blanks with all kinds of weirdo stuff to make it more interesting, which is a far more risky business. Mario's first attempt at the big screen was definitely Situation B, a weird experimental disaster that everybody involved readily and openly admits was a nightmare on all fronts. It does have some endearing qualities, but it doesn't feel like Mario at all. Bowser is a creepy lizard human, Daisy is in the movie instead of Peach, Yoshi looks like this, Goomba looks like this, and look at this guy. Seriously, who the hell is that? Well, if you guessed Toad, I can only conclude that you've seen the movie. This new movie, on the other hand, is far more Situation A. It doesn't do anything groundbreaking with the story, and many elements of the plot could apply to a lot of Mario games. It's an origin story, which is probably the most unique thing about it. Although Mario and Luigi were always supposed to be from Brooklyn, the games rarely seem to acknowledge it directly, with the Mushroom Kingdom kind of insisting upon itself as a self-evident thing that doesn't really need explanation. Their New Yorker upbringing is mostly a thing they bring up in instruction manuals, strategy guides, the cartoons, or the weirdo shit like Mario is Missing. So to see them actually running around Brooklyn right out of the gate was a lot of fun, because it's something that, for the most part, we haven't really seen before. The premise is interesting and does more to humanize Mario and Luigi and everyone else than the games usually do. They both start out as small, insignificant men who feel like they have something to prove. It's not rocket science, it's a fairly cliché hero's journey premise in fact, but for the kind of movie this is, I think that's enough to get it going. Animation is a far better medium for a Mario movie than live action. The whimsy of Mario, the bright and colorful universes, converting that to the world of animation is more straightforward than converting it to realistic live action because technically, video games already are the world of animation, and the games have always had a very cartoonish art direction. Kinda like how converting The Last of Us to live action is relatively straightforward because the game's presentation was already designed to look like a live action film. Let's talk casting. When they first announced the cast, I was immediately skeptical, like a lot of people, but I'm actually surprised at how well it worked out. Chris Pratt as Mario definitely wouldn't be my first or second choice, but I think it could have been way worse, and it's definitely aided by the chemistry he has with Charlie Day's Luigi. Anya Taylor-Joy from Queen Gambino brings a uniquely firm, confident approach to Peach, but she's also a lot more princessy than I think a lot of people were expecting based on the trailers. She's definitely more aggressive than a lot of the games, but she's had the spotlight on and off for a while, so I don't think it's too far out of the ordinary. I saw some people say she's more like Daisy in this movie, but really I think she's like the sum of Peach and Daisy divided by 2, which is more interesting. Seth Rogen Donkey Kong always has that stupid ass laugh going. He's a real meathead in this movie, which is exactly how I picture him in the games if he actually spoke like a human being. Keegan-Michael Key does a very energetic and funny Toad performance, but the cards are completely stacked against anybody who isn't Bowser, because he is played by Jack Cornelius Black, who is famous for his inhuman ability to devour everything around him, no matter what role he's in. You can cast this guy as a tree in a stage play written by and for children, and he will be the most memorable character in that play. Kevin Michael Richardson brings an energy to Kamek that I didn't even know existed. There's a scene where he and Bowser are role-playing the wedding with Peach, and he's dressed like Peach and he's extremely into it. The fan art is gonna be legendary. And of course, we cannot forget Charles Martinet, who plays a dude named Giuseppe, who uses the classic Mario voice. But more importantly, he plays Mario's father. I was initially bummed out that he couldn't be Mario, but next to actually playing Mario, I don't think I could imagine a role that pays more respect to his legacy as Mario than literally playing his dad. Also, there's a Blue Luma character who's all nihilistic and suicidal, which is not something I associate with Mario games, but I guess that's what happens when they retcon your adoptive mother out of existence and replace her with a fat guy.
You are nothing but a usurper, a false idol.
I think in all my years as a reviewer critic, man, one of my biggest setbacks is my tendency to judge things by what I want them to do and not by what they're trying to do. Which is why I will look at the objectively greatest video game of all time, The Witcher 3, and call it a lame piece of crap because most of that game is dialogue trees. In my stubbornness, I find myself fighting the temptation to say this is an objectively crappy game because the reality is that the game is trying and succeeding very often to do something that is not objectively a bad thing, but also happens to be something that I fundamentally do not like very much, that a lot of other people apparently do because they get it. None of this is to say that all media is above criticism on the grounds of that's the point, but maybe it's important to contextualize your opinion within your own realm of experiences and personal biases, while also asking yourself if you fundamentally understand what you're looking at. I do not think this issue is exclusive to me though. While everyone is entitled to their own opinion, I feel like a lot of the Mario movie's critics have a demonstrable disconnect from the intended effect of the movie, judging it by metrics that it was never intended to be judged by, complaining about things like how it feels like a video game or how the references will go over your head if you're not a Mario fan, as if those are objective flaws of the film and not what they were deliberately trying to do. Also, some people complained that the story was too simplistic and formulaic, which, if it was a Paper Mario movie, I'd understand, but the mainline Mario games have rarely been super story-heavy. Even the classic go-to example of Rosalina's storybook isn't that ambitious as much as it is a very nice flourish, but generally, mainline Mario titles are not the place for big, extravagant stories with super deep character development. So to go into a Mario movie with that expectation is to deliberately set yourself up for disappointment. Remember when Sonic the Hedgehog 2 came out and critics started complaining that it focused too much on Sonic and his Sonic friends and not on White Dude Man whose name I can't even remember? Seriously. The Sonic movie is bad because it focuses too much on Sonic. There are people who say that and don't even get curious about the possibility that maybe they're missing something. It's like if you were eating a cake and you got sad because it doesn't have a beef patty, cheese, and ketchup on it, while acting completely oblivious to the fact that cakes are not burgers. If you're looking for a narratively rich piece of cinema with super polished, highly refined character studies and provocative underlying themes, go watch Travis Bickle in The Funky Pickle. Now I like that movie, but I also like the Super Mario movie. Now let me reiterate something again. None of what I just said means that the Mario movie is absolved of any and all criticism. There are definitely things that could have been done better. One area where the movie struggles sometimes, and I've seen this sentiment shared by a lot of people, is the pacing. The movie is very quick in how it jumps from one thing to another to another to another, again, kinda like how it is going from level to level playing the games. It keeps the movie consistently entertaining and fun at the price of carefully and effectively building tension and emotional weight. If it was up to me, the movie could benefit from being a little bit longer. There are scenes in this movie that could use a little more breathing room than they had. To me, this movie is two movies in a largely harmonious competition with each other. One movie is for Mario fans who played every Mario game from Donkey Kong in the arcade to Donkey Kong on the TI-99 4A computer, and the other is a hyperactive roller coaster for the kids. Since Mario has often been geared as much to kids as anyone, this is mostly not a major detriment, but again, it means that the tempo of the film is fairly high to ensure that they don't get bored. If it was up to me, this movie would be as long as The Irishman, and there'd be a 7-minute scene somewhere in there of Mario and Luigi getting stuck in traffic discussing the etymology of the word spaghetti. But you can't really make a kids movie 3.5 hours long cause they'll fall asleep and then wake up 80% through and start asking questions cause they missed half of it. Wah! Get out of here, kid! This is a real movie for grown-ups. A lot of things in this movie are not explained heavily beforehand, but a lot of the people watching this movie are people that have been playing Mario since 1907, so they can get completely up to speed pretty quickly. Of course, it is worth knowing that I am in the process of playing literally every single game with Mario in it, so my perspective is definitely not universal. Half of you are probably still wondering what a TI-99 4A is, which I don't blame you. I think this is the crux of the film's intentions though. You know, if you knew jack diddly cock about Mario, I can definitely see how you can focus on the kids movie side of the film and judge it more harshly based on that. I think more than just trying to make it feel like a video game, the characterization of Mario and how he gets better and better at the acrobatics and platforming and how he never gives up no matter how hard he sucks and dies over and over and over again is supposed to personify the person playing the Mario games. Specifically the Lost Levels. That game is an asshole. He never gives up, just like everybody who beat the games after all their deaths and falls and invisible walls never gave up. None of us got this shit right out of the gate. We all had to practice, find the alternative routes, and determine where the power-ups are and how best to use them. And that's the thing, when you played all the games, you can kinda see where things are going. When Mario fights Donkey Kong, he pulls out a blue mushroom and immediately I said, oh no, don't eat that shit. The Mario Kart sequence, the blue shell was basically Chekhov's gun, and then the final fight with Bowser, in my head I was like, grab his tail, grab his tail, grab his f***ing tail, and then they actually did it, and I was like, holy shit, I thought they weren't gonna do it. Ugh, look at me, I'm stupid. Watching this movie yields a unique satisfaction that comes with being a longtime Mario fan, recognizing elements from the games and being able to predict what might happen next, but brought to life with that movie magic. I think what I love the most about the movie is the music. Of course, we can't talk about music without first acknowledging how they shafted Grant Kirkhope, who made the DK rap. In the credits, it just says it's from Donkey Kong 64. That's legitimately disappointing, and I hope they fix it in future revisions. I won't hold my breath, but I don't think it would be that hard to rectify. The musical references to the games range from blatantly obvious to extremely subtle, and it's kind of rewarding, recognizing everything, much like it was with the power-ups. Looks like playing Punchball Mario Bros. For the NEC PC 8801 actually paid off. And if you don't know what that is, it's like the TI-99 4A, but mixed with an Amstrad CPC with a side of ZX Spectrum, if that helps. Even with all the musical references, the reliance on licensed music in a few of the scenes is a little bit disappointing, but when they started blasting f***ing Beastie Boys' No Sleep Till Brooklyn, not a joke, I thought it was wacky ass, which in this case is a compliment. A lot of the scenes that had licensed music in it also had original scores written for them, but they opted instead for Take On Me, which, you know, not a bad song at all, but I recommend looking up the original scores they had because they're honestly way better, at least to me. Also, why is Take On Me in everything? I know it might seem like a minor complaint, but I feel like I can't escape this song. It's like Mona Lisa's eyes, it just follows me no matter where I go. Thankfully, they make up for it with a rave scene where these Koopas are playing the song from Bowser's Fury, which is rad as hell. And of course, Bowser has a musical number which most of you have probably heard by now. Wasn't really my favorite part of the movie, but only Jack Black could pull off something that lame. That man was made in a test tube to carry any scene with insane confidence, even if it's a big dumbass turtle saying the word peaches a billion times. Visually, the film is excellent, which is not something I associate with Illumination's films. The best way I can describe it is like, imagine if Super Mario Galaxy was made for the PlayStation 15. This is the best Mario and the boys have ever looked. The art style of the games is not sacrificed or compromised in any way, but is rather heightened by the insane rendering capabilities of a big studio production. This is not a half-assed thing at all. This movie is full ass. Which, again, is a compliment. The characters are all super expressive and extremely detailed to a degree that was never possible in a real-time video game rendering environment. They have been very careful and meticulous, making the characters look better than they could ever look on video game hardware, while also ensuring that they don't look off-putting. I'm tempted to compare the Rainbow Road sequence to a cartoonish Mad Max, but really, I'd just be describing Mario Kart. There are tons of Easter eggs hidden all over the place, not just from Mario, but all kinds of Nintendo stuff as well. Once again, they range from subtle background details like Pikmin and Star Fox statues to overt stuff like Mario playing stupid-ass Kid Icarus on the NES, which opens up a whole lot of existential questions. NES implies the existence of Super Mario Bros. And Nintendo, except they live in a world where that doesn't exist because they're real-life people and you know what, who gives a shit? But again, that's a big part of the fun. Finding these hidden Easter eggs is a lot like finding hidden collectibles in a video game. And just like that, the movie can also serve a secondary function as a game. And that's a whole new level of fun. Overall, this might not be the single most polished movie ever to grace the earth, and if I was in charge, there are definitely things that I would do differently. I wanted a bit of a longer movie with more tightly controlled pacing, but it's also very fun in a deliberate way, rather than the unintentional fun of the first Mario movie. Whether you're wanting an exciting 3D roller coaster or a super high budget, high effort fan service Easter egg hunt for longtime fans, it's a real fun time. Some will say that it broke the video game movie curse, but really it's just the latest in a string of surprisingly competent adaptations. Above all else, it's a testament to how good you can make an adaptation as long as you have a team of people who are passionate and knowledgeable about the source material and are not so arrogant that you somehow believe you are above the source material. I don't usually like to say go and check this out immediately, but if you're a longtime Mario fan, this movie will be your shit, specifically. I am at least 90% sure of that. And with all that said, thank you so much for watching my video.